Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Premodern Showdown series. I am Michael Hype. Right now, I am the only one here. Flint is uh, hopefully going to be joining us shortly, but we're going to continue on with the pregame anyways. But what we do have is our last two matches of the regular season, we'll call it, before we cut to the top four for the playoffs. So we have a match between John Grudzina and Aaron Dix, and then our match between Brian Durkin and Tom Metelsky will close out the night. So as you can see, our upcoming matches are not known who's playing, and that's because there's still a lot to be determined in terms of the placement for the semifinals. So these matches that will happen tonight will solidify the players in the top four spots, and we will figure out who will be playing who after tonight. One thing to note, we will be taking a week off due to the Thanksgiving holiday, and we will be resuming the Premodern Showdown series for the semifinals on Tuesday the 30th, and then the Thursday after that, which I believe is December 2nd, will be the finals. So we'll have a little bit of break, but still lots of exciting PSS action to be caught. So I'm going to bring up the standings. So this is the standings prior to this week. So this does not include the results of any of the matches that occurred on Tuesday. But you can see for each of the players kind of what needs to happen for them to get a shot, or what seating they'll have in the top four. So notes to highlight. So we have John playing first up against Aaron. So John is looking to get a win to clinch the second seed. And then Aaron has to have a few things go right. But if Aaron's able to win, and then if Tom loses, I guess Ron had won. So there's not. It might have to go down to tiebreakers. I think there's still a possibility that Aaron can make it. And then between Tom and Brian, if Tom wins, it's just a clean win and in for him. Tom will at least be in fourth. I think there's actually a potential that if John loses and Tom wins, that Tom will skip ahead and actually, I think, potentially be in second place. So there's a lot of switching around that can happen. And then Brian is looking to defeat Tom and then have Aaron lose. I think would give him a clean break into fourth. I think I'd have to review everything. There's a lot of complication going on, but very exciting for all the players, for everything to come down to this last match. So I'm going to jump over to the band screen for our players. This will be the match between John Grudzina and Aaron Dix. So John has Survival Elves, Star Spangled Slaughter, and Prison Oath, and Aaron has Survival Elves as well. He has Sligh and then Esper Stifle Knot. So the band decks is Star Spangled Slaughter for John, and then the Esper Stifle Knot for Aaron. So Flint will make a prediction. He's going to predict that John is going to play Elves, and he's going to predict that Aaron is going to play Sligh. So let's see if Flint is correct. All right. So for Aaron, you will be playing Sligh. Good job, Flint. And this is one of Aaron's favorite decks in Premodern. It's very consistent. We've seen this. It's been a player in almost the Premodern metagame since it existed. I mean, the red deck wins archetype is always very powerful. The one thing to note is the Urza's Bauble. That's kind of something that Aaron has trademarked and played just to basically thin the deck out and make your deck a little bit. I was gonna say consistent, but I don't even know if that's the right word. Just try and increase the card quality, I guess, by just cycling through with that Urza's Bauble. And what Aaron is up against is the Survival Elves. So good job, Flint. You got them both right. But this deck is probably the best deck in Premodern right now. I would be questioning anyone who would dispute that. But We had 4 players bring it, and so far, I believe John has only played it once, and no one else has played elves yet, or other than that. So it hasn't got a lot of airtime, but this deck is very powerful, very explosive, and can hit from a number of angles. So the core of the deck is a lot of elves, but it's all tied together with the card Survival of the Fittest, which can get silver bullet creatures, but uh, with a combination of Squee has a good card advantage engine over multiple turns, and then getting a card like Anger, and if there's a mountain in play, a lot of things can be crazy with combinations of things like Wirewood symbiotes and elves with haste, like the Priest of Titania. So a lot of possibilities can come out of the Survival Elves, and we get to see it in action again tonight. So I'll move over to the key cards. And we have for the Survival Elves deck, it's not very surprising that Survival of the Fittest is a key card for them. So what it does is it just allows you to get silver bullets, allows you to be more consistent, allows you to have really explosive turns. If the elves have enough mana, they're almost always going to have creatures in their hand because the deck has a lot of creatures, and you can just really churn through your deck to get some powerful combinations of cards. Um, and then also it kind of leads into this other card. There is one copy of Well-Wisher in the main, and obviously with Survival of the Fittest, you're more likely to see that. But if Well-Wisher is able to activate a few times, then I think it's going to be difficult for the Sligh deck to overcome, because the life total, it probably means there's a number of elves in play and that it's gaining a good amount of life. And if just one is in play, there's likely that there's multiple activations coming out of it with cards like Kieran Ranger and Wirewood Symbiote. So very powerful out of the Survival Elves deck. And then Grim Lavamancer is a key card for the Sligh deck because it is a recurring source of damage. You're able to use cards that had already been spent to kill some of the elves and kind of maintain the board control. And so to keep the elves deck from amassing a large amount of creatures. And then out of the sideboard for the Sligh deck, there are 4 copies of Lava Dart, which is a very efficient way of answering elves because it just costs 1 mana, and then you can just flash back a mountain to flash it, or sacrifice a mountain to flash it back. So you could see a nice little 2-for-1 come from a Lava Dart, or really just slow down the elves' development by taking out cards like Llanowar Elves or maybe Wirewood Symbiote. So those are the cards I expect to be the big players. I am just going to shoot a message to Flint real quick. I'm going to talk about the players a little bit before we start our match. So, slide we have for John Grudzina, we asked who is his biggest pre-modern rival, and he typed none. So he's not afraid of anybody. He'll beat everybody that stands in his way. He'll take everyone down. So seems pretty fitting. And he predicted that James Smits will be the victor of the PSS3. And we do have a Wild Flint has joined us. So hello, Flint. We're just about to get started. I was just going to go over the slides of the players, and then we'll be jumping in. So John says that the strongest color in pre-modern is white, which is quite the opposite of what a lot of the other players had said. So kind of an interesting take on there, and says that the weakest color is black. So kind of a unique idea compared to the other contestants. John didn't answer some of the other questions, so I get to answer them for him. Not necessarily for him, but just I get to put something down to talk about it. John's favorite sport is curling, so every 4 years he gets really excited for the Winter Olympics, because I think that's the only time that the majority of the world cares about curling. But I do find curling interesting. It doesn't come up very often. And his favorite vacation location is New Zealand. Beautiful place, Lord of the Rings. What's not to like about New Zealand? I don't know. And then we'll quickly go over Aaron's slide. He says his biggest pre-modern rival is this entire group. So definitely we do have some strong pre-modern players. So yeah, I can see losing in the monthlies to any of these players. So He predicted that Ron will win the PSS3. So one of the few people that didn't pick John. So uh, he thinks that the strongest color in Premodern is black and that the weakest color is white. So quite the opposite of what John said. And his favorite sports are hockey and football. And according to me, his favorite vacation location is the Library of Alexandria. So good place to check out a book and get some knowledge. All right,
I
Flint.
love it.
Uh, you're just gonna have to figure things out. You got both the you guessed the decks correctly, so good job for that. Now let's jump down to the match, and you can let the players know that they can begin.
All right.
All right, I will properly orientate things. Guess I should have done that before, but all right. So John is on the play with his Survival Elves deck, and it looks like he just passed the turn without a play, which is pretty surprising given the number of one drops in the Elves deck. But I have to imagine that there might be a survival then. And Aaron is starting things off with the trademarked Urza's Bauble as well as a Mog Fanatic. So he'll activate it. He's going to look at a card at random. What's he going to see?
He's gonna
A
see
forest. A Wooded Foothills?
a wooded foothills. Oh.
So the Wooded Foothills is kind of important, like because getting red mana can be really key, uh, because of the card of anger. Because giving your creatures haste with a lot of the chains is really powerful, but there are definitely times when you just want to start off with multiple green sources. Activating a survival multiple times in a turn is important, and having the mountain sometimes is a pain. But eventually, in most lines with survival, you're gonna want to get a mountain.
Hmm. Get a little cantrip there with the acolyte.
Okay. All right. Let's bring that one up. Okay. So that was an attack, right? And a chosen block. So yeah, the acolyte gets in the way of the Mog Fanatic.
Yeah, pretty easy block there.
Yeah, ping echo is not really something you're really interested in doing at this stage of the game. So, Kieran Ranger, I really enjoy the this card. It's very powerful in a lot of situations. In combination with cards like Land Elves, it's really good. It's really good when you're under a Tangle Wire, and it's very good with the card that we just see it with, Priest of Titania. We see a lightning bolt take out the priests, so Aaron's using some of his resource to try and control the mana out of John, or just slow him down a little bit. But I mean that does comes at a cost. I mean, like when the Sligh deck typically just wants to throw all its damage at the opponent, that will potentially slow down the clock.
Until Mr. Ball Lightning says, hey,
Well, I mean, of this is like the first damage that, um, first real damage that's being dealt to John. I guess he took one from the Wooded Foothills, but uh, turn three and you're sitting at 13 is probably a little bit better than average on the Sligh deck, especially because he
yeah,
doesn't have any Jackal Pups or Grim Mancers or anything on the board. So uh, things could look worse for John, I would say. We do see another priest deployed and then a Llanowar Elves. So The elf count is at 3.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think there, like, if there is a survival in hand next turn, he has access to one, two, three. Okay, so it'd be 3 from the priest, 2 from the forest. That's 5. 1 from the Llanowar Rose is 6. You could return a forest. That's 7, and then tap the priest. So 10, potentially 10 mana from this position.
Yeah, I mean, looks like Aaron's not going to let him untap with that priest, which makes a lot of sense.
So
That would have been a pretty degenerate turn.
the priest just on its own represents 3 mana, but the Curing Ranger kind of represents 2, right? I mean,
Mm.
like if John doesn't have a land drop, then with a Llanowar Elves, it represents 2 mana. So I don't know if there's any consideration that you can give to try and get rid of the Curing Ranger, but um, yeah, I guess I mean the turns that you really go off, Priest of Titania is really powerful. All right, so John is contemplating what he wants to do. He's tapping 3 mana. What do we have here? That
Is it
is
Granger?
that's the Yavimaya Granger. Okay, so this is a creature that can go get that mountain.
What's Granger's power and toughness?
It's a 2/2. So, uh, I mean, I don't know if this card's going to stay around because it's not really something that you want to pay Echo for. I guess it depends on the rest of your hand. But it looks like he's using the Kyrian Ranger's ability to untap the Llanowar. So he's got a little bit more mana to work with this turn. And now we have a Wirewood
Ooh,
symbiote. Okay.
so good.
So I don't know if it was an intentional thing from John, but it's possible he just drew the Wirewood symbiote, but it could have been something that he was playing out his hand and kind of letting Aaron use the burn spells on those to maybe try and hope to protect the symbiote. Because
Hmm.
typically the symbiote's kind of like the flag bearer that you kind of have to kill it first because otherwise the elves just end up going back to the hand as compared to dying.
Yep.
And we do see
Definitely.
survival of the fittest, so if Aaron isn't able to close things out here, uh, John is going to have some powerful turns.
Yeah, Aaron went upstairs with the lightning bolt.
Okay, and now he's playing a sulfuric vortex. Well, so okay, I'm trying to think of the crazy things that could happen this next turn. So if we're getting a priest to Titania first and playing it, then that would tap for 3 mana. I guess we need
He's
to
got
go
to
get
go get
angers.
anger.
You gotta get
Yeah,
anger as well.
he's got to go creature, anger, priest.
And yeah, so I think you discard Granger, go get Anger. Discard Anger, go get Priest. Play Priest, so you'd have to tap the land rolls, then it taps for 3. But you get basically 2 activations out of Priest because of Wirewood Symbiote and Kyrian Ranger. So there is a lot of mana that he has available if he takes that line. Um, I guess John is at 8 from the Sulfuric Vortex. All right, so we have discard the Granger. Looks like that's a priest. Okay. I'm still
No,
expecting.
he's putting it back in the library.
Oh, okay. All right, we are getting
There's the
anger.
anger.
All right, that makes sense.
Okay.
Uh, Does he have enough for double hermit? Let me think. So I don't know if he has enough for double. He should have enough for one. Let's see. This priest taps for 3. He can untap it and get another mana from the forest. So we have 6, 7
6.
mana. And then if we went down, he's discarding Collar the Claw.
To go to 5 green.
Okay, yeah, but he hasn't played the forest yet, so
Mm,
yeah, he does have 5 mana. So this could be Deranged Hermit. Is there, because that represents 9 damage, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then he could also attack with. Well, if he. So if he has 5 mana here, plays the. Plays the Deranged Hermit, plays the forest, uh, returns the
Hermit.
Deranged Hermit to untap the priests. Well, maybe I'll say, is there any way you can? Because that reduces. Maybe what if you return a? But you have to return an elf, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a. Oh. Can you return Curing Ranger and then use it
Yeah.
again?
You could return Quirion Ranger and then use it again.
Yeah. Then that's probably got.
Oh,
Oh,
he's got a cradle.
a
It
guy's
doesn't
great.
matter.
All right. Never mind.
Yeah.
That makes it easy. But yeah, I
That
think you
that
could have returned the Curing Ranger and then you just would have had it either way. So yep. So I think John is definitely demonstrating the power that survival can do with this Elves deck, and really just the ability to untap and use Priest of Titania is just superb.
Oh, he's got a Kamal.
Oh, so he's just I guess when mana is plentiful, then you can just get Kamal Fist of Corrosia. And John is taking down game number 1.
Deck is good.
Yes, it is. All right, I'm going to bring up the decks so we can talk about sideboarding. What does the Elves deck have to do? So, I mean, traditionally, people just say that like this is a matchup that advantage Sligh. So, I don't know if it's a little bit surprising to see. I mean, because that was somewhat convincing. I mean, because I guess John was at 8. So,
hmm
I guess, I mean, like a Fire Blast and some other things in that game could have been a little bit different. But uh, what cards are you looking to take out, Elves? Is Tank? I mean, like Tanglewire probably is just a little awkward because if you're behind on board, you don't really want to do it. I don't. I mean, it also seems fine. I mean, like the burn deck does okay, like under a Tanglewire because a lot of the cards are instant speed. But I mean, it's gonna be a lot harder to cast a card like Ball Lightning, which is probably one of
hmm
like the harder hitting cards against the Elves deck. And like a card like Self-Work Vortex is pretty hard to cast when there's a Tanglewire. So I don't know because I mean, I guess I'm interested in Spike Feeder and I don't think I'm interested in a
Masticore?
second Masticore. Do you need the
No.
second one really? Like the
It just stops like every creature in the Sligh deck. But I don't know if you need a second one.
yeah. I think this just might be some light sideboarding from
From
John.
John.
I mean, there's nothing that's really too appealing in my opinion. But from the slide deck, there are things that do change. 4 Lobbit Arts are definitely coming in. The ability to get 2 creatures with 1 card is pretty good. What cards do you want to take out?
I'm just waiting for the list to pull up
Oh.
for me here. So if you want to start talking, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would say baubles, but I don't know. I mean,
You're not on the Bobble hype train though, right?
no, but I mean, like all the cards seem fine. So I mean, maybe volcanic hammer. You could take out a volcanic hammer, but
Ah, here we are. Um,
and then I guess I think that's probably the only card you bring in. Um, like I don't think you want more sulfur vortexes. I mean, maybe that's a card that you shave on, but I don't know.
yeah, I mean, he wants most all of these cards. I think it's probably Bobble. I would leave in all the creatures. Yeah. Chat's saying that they might bring in Elvish Champion. I mean, John knows Lava Dart's coming in. It is a bit of a hedge against the Lava Dart plan or Mog Fanatics to save elves. What do you think about that?
I
Do you
mean,
think
just
it's
the
too narrow? You think
redundancy
it's
with
too
the
narrow?
amount of burn that Aaron has, like I don't. It doesn't seem like that efficient of playing 3 mana for that effect. Like I feel like
Yeah,
Aaron's always going to have a card to gain like that tempo advantage.
he'll
To
just
me,
bolt the elf
yeah. I
or
mean, like, I don't know
shock
if
it,
that's like
whatever.
it, and it's not like the +1/+1. Like, what are you trying to protect? I guess. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
I,
that's
I,
fair. It's like Engineered Plagues coming in.
yeah. So to me, the Elvis Champion doesn't seem that important or effective. So I don't know. Uh, People were talking about bringing in Tormod's Crypt to get out anger. That actually, I think, I'm usually not a fan of bringing in a card like Tormod's Crypt and Sligh unless it's like really necessary. But it does if you're counteracting the anger, you do slow down the deck a lot of the time. Um, so I wouldn't fault Aaron for doing that, and I think that is an angle that you can take.
Yeah,
I did not think of that, but I wouldn't disagree if someone did that. All right, looks like we are gearing up for game number two, as Aaron is hoping he can take this down uh, and have a shot at making that fourth place spot. But
what poll wise, who did people predict would win?
oh, I completely forgot to do that. I knew I forgot.
Oh shoot.
Well, I guess uh, everyone predicted correctly. I don't know. I'll throw it up for the
Yeah,
game too, but
all have won and deserve prizes.
yes.
All right, go Lava Mancer.
There's a
Oh,
Jackal Pup.
pup pup pup.
So able to
Bobble
clock,
still
and
there.
I think you're not like unhappy to trade like Jackal Pup for pretty much any of the one drops, like Llanowar Elves, Wired Symbiote, or Carrion Ranger. You don't feel like awful about um, trading those. So all right, so the bauble has replaced itself, and he got to see a Wooded Foothills from John.
Again?
Yeah, it is a nice Wooded Foothills. I can
It's
say
a very
that.
nice Wood Foothills.
Also, a very nice forest. And then we do
And a very
have
nice
the
elf.
Finthorn Elves. So it'll be interesting to see if John is going to block here. I could see it's possible that there are certain hands where he would want to block it. Well, he doesn't get the option. Lava Dart, one of the cards that we talked about, is going to take down that creature, and now the Jackal Pup can get in uh, without any blockers. So Lava Dart doing good work. And if it comes to it, it might be flashback. Might slow Aaron a little bit down, but it's gonna allow the Jackal Pup to get in for more, or significantly hinder John. So
Pretty good. It's got the scroll too.
Wayfarer CZ says greetings from Europe and rooting for the good guy here. Any deck is a good deck versus elves. Uh, well, That's pretty some dedication if you're watching from Europe. It's gotta be
Yeah.
pretty late there.
Hello.
So welcome to the stream. Glad you could be up with us. I know a lot of our friends in Europe have to catch the replay because, understandably, they're asleep when we're airing the show. So John had, was that what card was played? Is that a
The
Multani's that
Multani's
played?
Acolyte,
And it
and then
got
it got
shocked.
shocked.
Right.
It met a shocking end.
So the Jackal Pup's still connecting, and there is a cursed scroll of in play. So Aaron has used a number of cards, so maybe he's going to get to the point where he can get that curse scroll online. So we have a Kyrian Ranger and a Findhorn Elves, and now a Gaia's Cradle. So trying to ramp up on the mana,
Yep. Ooh hoo hoo.
and we have a Survival.
John's just gonna say, all right, do your worst.
All right, so 2-year-old daughter woke you up, so you'll settle to watch some Premodern. All right, I guess that's a reasonable exchange for
That
given the
works.
events. But
That works. Did I ever go on record and say the elves are always a good guy? Maybe I did before
yes,
survival.
yes, you definitely did say that. I was randomly watching an old video, and you definitely, literally said that Elves is always the good guy.
Well, elves is now the Anakin Skywalker that has become Darth Vader. We've got two Sith Lords battling it out here.
All right, we have a second lava dart, so it looks like Aaron is reaching for his mountain. I don't know if he was thinking about flashing the lava dart. No, but he uses the Mog Fanatic, and the Jackal Pup has done a good job of getting in there. It's attacked every turn, and there hasn't been a creature in the way to block it. So
Yeah, notably Aaron doesn't play another mountain, so he's probably gonna wait before he starts sacking mountains to see if he can get his scroll online first, is my guess.
yeah, that would be the ideal situation, is that he's able to use a curse scroll, because like if he has to start sacking mountains, then it's got to be he feels like he's really close to the finish line,
Yeah.
because it cuts off like a number of spells, and like cards like Fire Blast are no longer online, and you're really looking to use that lava dart in this situation just to close out the game. I mean, I could maybe see it that like if John only had one creature and he played it, that you might just have to bite the bullet and get rid of it to keep clocking in with the pup. But John is starting his survival thing, so anger is discarded. There already is a mountain in play, but I guess the bonus or the good news for Aaron is there's not like a wide board where Priest of Titania is going to do a lot. So I guess even if, because the Priest of Titania actually like uses the stack, right?
Um, when
I
it taps for mana, I don't think so.
I thought this one was like a trigger. Oh
No,
no,
I think
places
it's,
ability as a mana source. Okay, never mind.
yeah.
Um, I thought one of them like went on the stack, but I guess it's not. So all right, so
Right.
discarding Squee.
Yep. I
What
thought
are
he
we
might
getting
play
here?
Squee.
What'd you say?
I said for a second I thought he was gonna play Squee.
Yeah, I guess it
Block that pup.
threatens to block a Jackal Pup.
Still not a great spot to be in, but
Well, the Squee is typically the strongest, like when you get to uh, go through a couple turn cycles, because it is a card advantage. So he got another Squee, is that correct? Or is it the Squee just on top of the anger?
it's Squeeze on top of the anger. He hasn't decided what he's getting yet.
Okay,
Okay, it's a Well-Wisher.
all right. So that would use the stack. All right. So you
That
can respond to a
absolutely
Well-Wisher
would.
activation.
Yeah.
All right, Well-Wisher's in play.
Oh wow, is he really gonna sack a mountain here?
I guess there's no reason to like to
There's no
do it
reason to do
now,
it right
right?
now. Yeah, see what you draw.
But I mean, if John is tapping it for life, then maybe you want to respond to that. But I, I don't think it
I don't
makes
know.
sense to
It's
do it at your end
two
step.
life. I think you wait and you see if you draw that mountain and then you just scroll it
Yeah,
or burn it.
I would agree. I think it's
Let him have the life.
yep. Yeah, because you're only saving one life in that situation, anyways. I guess you could use both lava darts, but that'd be real aggressive.
Yeah. With the squeak coming back to hand, that's probably not great.
Yeah, if that happened, then maybe Squee would get in play to block. But I guess Llanowar Elves would probably be happy enough with jumping in the way of Jackal. So,
There's
right.
also some awkward tension between the lava darts and fire blasts.
Mm-hmm. I don't think a mountain was drawn. I think I think Aaron's play is a little more scripted if he can just use the curse scroll.
Yeah.
But hmm. Well, I mean, I would attack. I guess I'm trying to think what.
Good place to start.
I mean, I'd be pretty happy trading the one well with Sure for a Jackal.
Hmm.
I don't think John is going to make that trade.
I mean, was he got like a sulfuric vortex and a fire blast in his hand or something?
I guess Fire Blast is a card that you maybe would like make you think about stuff, but I guess there's no way you're. I don't see any sequence of what you can do with that. But he's looking to he's flashing back.
Wow.
Well, well, I why would you want to do it now? Like, wouldn't you do it in response to a Well Wisher activation?
Is he gonna kill the Llanowar Elf here too?
I
In response to the activation?
This seems very aggressive.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I don't know if I like that.
I don't foresee this going well for Aaron.
No. Squeeze coming right back to the hand, and he can just go get any number of creatures and play them.
So John gained.
He gained one
Uh,
and lost two, right? He went to
well,
eight, he went from 10 to 8,
well, John has
but
himself at 6. So what did I?
I think he's at 9,
Oh, well,
right? Or he's at 6?
that's what he has. What did I miss a? Did I miss like a lightning bolt that was at?
Maybe. Chat, did we miss
I think
something?
that might have been it. That I might have missed a lightning bolt, but
Oh, yeah, maybe we did. Because he had two cards in his hand. Maybe he tapped and added it for mana. Yeah, Aaron
okay.
did bolt. Yeah, we can't see it under the scroll right now.
Oh, I can see it on the. It's on the top of the graveyard. So yeah, but so how are you planning on like closing out this game though? It like what is in your hand? Is it just like
Yeah,
bolt? Like well then you wouldn't you just use it? You would use a bolt. Like what card would you have not played? I'm
maybe it's a fire blast
well. Would you want to get sack 2 mountains if you had Fire Blast in hand?
and a
I'm not
bolt.
sure.
No.
I just feel like this gives John the time to use Squee and whatnot. And is there any creature? What's the creature that's like best suited for just like blocking a Jackal Pup for the Elves deck? There's a tangle wire. Well, the tangle wire stayed in, and
the tangle wire creature.
it definitely makes Aaron's line not seem.
Oh, there's the mountain. John just definitely gonna bring that squee back to his hand. Can't get that back in his hand fast enough.
Don't want to forget about that one.
No.
All right, John's starting to do math, so he
What's he
is
grabbing?
getting.
I can't see with the glare.
I think it's Multani's Acolyte, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
I would. Nope, it's a priest. Okay.
It's a priest.
This priest has haste. We'll tap
All
for 2
right.
mana.
He's getting the die.
I mean, he's basically gonna have another turn though. Like Aaron's gonna have to tap 3 permanents, and that's the number of permanents he has right now. So what is the scariest thing John can do right now? 2 mana, 4 mana, 5 mana. He could get a Masticore in play. That doesn't seem that good. He's discarding a Granger. He's 1 mana. You could just get Spike Feeder. Just gain 4
Yeah,
life.
seems pretty good.
Hmm. Is there a Genesis in the 75
There,
for John?
there's one in the sideboard.
I wonder if that came in. That if that came in, then I might be interested in discarding that so that I could get back Well Wisher. All right, we do
There,
see a
yep,
Genesis.
to get a feeder.
All right, so just padding the life.
Oof.
I like this line from John.
Yeah,
It's just gonna
safe.
reduce the number of outs that he would lose to. The Spike Feeder can even attack. Get him for 2 and then gain some life. Right? It's got haste, right?
Does have haste.
Oh no, Spike Feeder. Wait, you
Sweet,
gotta
sweet
tap your
damage.
stuff.
Whoa, Aaron. I think he's just gonna scoop.
Oh,
Go
okay.
to Fire Blast and something else. GG's. Yeah.
All right. Well, John is able to overcome the Sligh deck, and even with the lava darts, um,
Yeah.
uh, it wasn't enough. So let's jump in and listen to the players.
Not get, the third mana came way too late.
Yeah, I figured as much.
Oh man, just desperately seeking that third mana for so long.
I should unmute them.
Oh yeah, we should do that. 1 second.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey. Congrats, John.
Thank you.
The mighty mighty elves are showing their power. So
Yep. Well, I think credit to John's fantastic play as well.
Thank you.
So Aaron, when you had 2 lands, well, I guess what was the thought process in that sequence where you ended up like going all in and flashing back the lava darts?
Well, I didn't have. He quickly gets. That goes crazy when I was trying to give myself an out where I could draw something that wasn't going to sack my lands because I had the Fire Blast in hand. So I knew that was my finisher, but I could not let the Well-Wisher just sit there. I needed to be getting in with the Jackal Pup. I needed to prevent the life gain. And it was my last ditch effort.
Right.
I was hoping he didn't have a lot in hand to generate too much. It just got out of hand again quick.
So for each of you, how often have you played this matchup, John? How often have you played elves against burn, and vice versa, Aaron? Like, is this how the match usually plays out, or do things usually play out a little differently?
I've played it a few times. I mean, it really depends on what's in the sideboard from the Sligh deck. Yeah, there's certain cards that are really difficult to beat.
Yeah, I've had pretty good luck. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought.
No, you can go.
Good. I was just saying I've had pretty good luck in this matchup with Sligh. But you know, it's always a good game. I think that I tried to shore up. I expected elves to run rampant in the PSS, so I tried to shore up with extra lava darts in the sideboard. Just got into a kind of clunky spot with them tonight where, you know, they weren't very good.
Aaron, I'm curious, if I can just jump in real quickly. Your deck, right, runs the baubles and it runs a lower land count, and there is tension between, you know, mountains for fire blasts and just having enough mana to use scroll and things like that. Even though I know you don't run as many scrolls, if you could sort of do it all over again, and certainly hindsight's 2020, and obviously the lava darts didn't quite work out as well tonight, but do you think that Pyroclasm is a better card, or even, you know, Fire Ice or something along those lines in the board if you want to really do crowd control, or do you think you'd keep the darts?
I think it depends on a few things. There's some non-bows with Pyroclasm as well, with the pups and the Lavamancers, both of which I really like having against elves. Especially the Lavamancer can be a brutal card against that deck. Then also with the baubles, the sorcery speed comes into play. I've thought about things that were board clears. I actually thought about Earthquake because it continues to move the needle on their life total. I've thought there's been a couple other. I thought about Slice and Dice.
What about Pyrokinesis?
Pyrokinesis is a solid choice. Yeah, Lava Dart could easily be Pyrokinesis in the sideboard. The other thing is that I tend to really like spot removal, just because he's got the collar. You know, if I get that one good turn and he collars, I'm at a world of hurt. So being able to one here, one there, one here has been pretty good, so long as they keep coming.
I feel like Pyrokinesis is the most scary. Just because, like, you've got so much removal.
Yeah.
That, like, I've got to play really carefully, but I do have to go off and actually, like, deploy a large number of elves.
Yeah. Pyrokinesis is a solid choice.
You know, if you get a 3 for 1, a 3 for 2, or a 4, or maybe even a 4 for 2. I mean, like, that's huge. I mean, that'll put me back multiple turns.
Yeah, definitely.
The instant speed's really good too. You know, in response to like a symbiote activation or something.
And again, you know, with the baubles, I have to be playing at instant speed.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. John, you mentioned that the Sligh matchup kind of varies depending on the sideboard. Is Pyrokinesis the card you're considering, or are there other versions of Sligh that, might specifically lead to certain play strategies with elves.
Yeah, I mean, pyrokinesis. I would not have played elves in this matchup had I seen pyrokinesis in the sideboard.
Got it.
I'll be honest. Like, the lava darts are definitely good cards, but it's another burn spell, and the cost of sacrificing mountains pretty large.
Mhm.
So I'm not too afraid of it. Whereas pyrokinesis, it's one of those things that, like, sometimes you can't keep up, Caller of the Claw when you're trying to build up your board. It's just not possible, especially if you don't have the anger already set up.
Gotcha.
And a lot of the times you just kind of have to go for it in a lot of spots. Which is why I think pyrokinesis is. I wouldn't advocate 4. It would probably be like 2, maybe 3, and maybe even in combination with something like Lava Dart, just to increase the number of slots.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a good card.
Yeah, I've played the matchup a few times. I haven't had. It's definitely not my favorite matchup. But I mean, like, things like the Elvish Visionary, whatever it's called, the Acolyte, kind of make it a little bit more tenable. Because you're cycling a card. It's a card that you have no problem throwing in front of a Jackal Pup or a Mog Fanatic.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Well, I guess chat wanted to know about if Volcanic Spray was ever a card you had considered. Let me bring that one up.
Oh, nice.
I think that's from Odyssey.
I don't know that one at all.
It is 1 in a red sorcery. It deals 1 damage to each creature without flying on each player. And that's a flashback of 1 in a red. So it's like a baby earthquake that could be flashbacked.
Sort of interesting.
I feel like Pyroclasm's just better.
Sure. I mean, the other card that like Breath of Daragaz is a card that I've considered, because if you do get up to 4 mana, it can just be I guess it costs 4 mana at sorcery speed, but it can deal 4 damage to each creature and each player. So, so that's, I guess, really all I had to ask. But Aaron, is there anything that you wanted to add? Because I guess this means that your 4th place hopes have been eliminated. So.
No, just that it's been a blast. This one's been really tough competition all the way around. Playing with some of the best players in the format has been a lot of fun. We've had a lot of good games. They've been pretty close, and the group chat's been a lot of fun. A lot of good guys and good personalities.
Cool. All right, cool. Well, thanks. Condolences, but good job this season. And then, John, we will get to see you continue on with the semifinals in a couple weeks. So congratulations tonight.
Thank you.
Go get him, man.
Thanks for playing, Aaron.
Let our players go as
Anytime.
we are going to get things set up for our next match. So I'll bring up our schedule. And we are going to get things ready for the match between Brian and Tom. So I guess I should go over the standings real quick. But basically, if Tom wins, he will get 4th place. I guess I don't know. I don't know what his head-to-head. He will at least be in 4th place. He could be in 3rd. I guess I don't know what his head-to-head against Jared is. And then Brian, I'm trying to think if I think so. Yeah, if my graphic's correct, then if Brian wins, then he would get 4th. I believe is where we're at. So this is a win and for both these players, I believe. So an exciting match is up to come. Yes. And so we are going to take a short break as we get these players set up. We will be right back, so don't go anywhere, folks. We got a conclusion, and one you don't want to miss. So hang with us as we get things set up. All right, everybody, we are back. Thank you for waiting. We have Brian and Tom set up, but first, we have a special announcement that we'd like to make. I'll pull up my fancy stream. Oh, there's nothing here. Okay. We've got a pre-modern tournament. Flint, do you want to talk about what we have upcoming? Well, not we, but what is upcoming?
Yeah. So, there is going to be a pre-modern tournament, um, next year in the spring on the 13th of May in 2022, and it's going to be in Boston. It's being organized by a couple of folks out there, but I think Dave Firth Bard is taking the lead and getting it organized. And of course, he's looped in Andrew and Jared and Mike Harris and you and I to kind of talk about it a little bit. But it'll be a tournament on, I believe, Friday the
Yep.
13th.
Yes.
And then on Saturday, they're doing an old school event. So if you're an old schooler as well, you've got Lobster Con on that Saturday. And there's going to be a pre-modern side event as well. So if you're not an old school Magic player, but you come for the Friday pre-modern tournament, you can always play in the pre-modern side event the next day. And I would imagine many of us will be bringing maybe some sealed boxes of some pre-modern sets or cubes or other things to probably play as well. In terms of the location, I believe it's going to be at the Dante Alighieri Society in Kendall Square. And all of this will, of course, be posted online as we get closer and closer to the event. But definitely mark your calendars. May 13th, American Pre-Modern Championships. And it sounds like you're going to be there, and I'm going to try to work things out so I can get out there as well. And it would be awesome to meet a lot of you folks in person.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to play in a presumably big paper pre-modern tournament. I think this is like the first U.S. one that, like, large U.S. one that's ever happened. But yeah, I'm excited, and yeah, we'll have more details eventually. But just wanted to get the date out so that you can mark your calendars, or maybe start building up your credit with your significant other. You can get some back rubs in, and just maybe just grease the wheels so that you can get on the good side, so that you can take your vacation. I'm probably taking my wife out to Boston with me, so we'll make a little bit of a trip out of it. But yeah, so the main pre-modern tournament is on Friday. There will be other stuff on the weekend, but if you play old school, there's LobsterCon is on the Saturday. So mark your calendars. We're looking forward to it. All right, let's get back to the Premodern Showdown series stuff. So I have the bans for our players. We have Brian Durkin. His 3 decks are the 4-color Terrageddon, Survival Elves, and Sligh, while Tom has Goblins, Psychatog, and Devour combo. 4-color Terrageddon is not available to Brian tonight, and the Devour combo is banned for Tom. All right, Flint, you did well on your prediction for the last match. What are you going to predict for these 2 players tonight?
All right, so the screen's not up here in front of me right now, but I imagine it will be in just a second. So the banned decks are Devourer and Terrageddon.
Yes.
Okay.
So
So
Brian has a choice between Survival Elves and Sligh, while Tom has the choice between Goblins and Psychatog.
I think that Brian is gonna go with Sligh, and Tom's gonna go with Goblins.
Okay. We will jump over to the decks, and first up we have Brian, and he is playing Sligh. So very similar to the deck that we just saw in the hands of Aaron. The only difference is the absence of Bauble and the inclusion of Flame Rift. But other than that, I mean, it's a pretty similar deck and pretty similar strategy. Nothing dynamically is different from this deck list than the other one. And then we'll jump over to Tom, and he is going to be piloting the Psychatog deck.
Oh, he's gonna go. He's gonna trust in Dr. Teeth. All right.
Tom's going to put his life on the line with the Doctor. So he's going to see how the blue-black deck can take it down. So if you're not familiar with Psychatog, I mean, it's a permission-based control deck and a lot of card draw, and then tries to play Psychatog and, in theory, leverage the cards that were used and put in the graveyard to pump up the Psychatog for a quick win. So I'll bring up the key card slide for this match on what I might predict to be the important thing. So out of the Sligh deck, a card like Fire Blast is always a very powerful card. I think it will have a particular importance in this matchup because one, the games could be very tempo based, given if the way certain things draw, and just getting a quick Fire Blast could finish off Tom. One thing also to note is it is a good way to play multiple spells in one turn, and Psychatog is going to try and counter a lot of spells. But if maybe Brian is casting a lightning bolt or something into the end of turn, and Tom has a mana leak and taps out, uh, Brian also might be tapped out, but if he has two mountains, he could just sacrifice the Fire Blast and resolve that to finish off Tom. And so I think Fire Blast will be a key player. And then out of the sideboard, there's 2 copies of Pyroblast, and I think 2 copies of Red Element Blast. So I put up the Pyroblast. It's a nice interaction piece. It hits a lot of the spells, and if you can get like a card like Fact or Fiction, you have a really good tempo advantage. It's a good answer to Psychatog because the burn spells aren't always a sure thing to kill the Psychatog. Actually, it's pretty unlikely that it would kill Psychatog, so Pyroblast is a nice clean answer to that, whether it's being cast or already in play. From Psychatog, I think Tog is pretty important just because I don't think the Psychatog deck wants the burn deck to get too many turns, and you're going to need to find a Psychatog pretty early to close out the game. So I think if Psychatog comes down early, then I think it's possible that Tom can win some of the, at least the pre-cyber games. But if he struggles to find a Psychatog, then I think it's going to give the Sligh deck a little bit of an edge. And then on the sideboard, a similar thing. I think there's 3 copies of Hydroblast, a nice cheap spell to interact with all the red cards in the deck. All right, Flit, let's get going. Let's figure out who is going to take the 4th place. So it'll either be Brian or it'll either be Tom. So it's all coming down to this. Who do we have on the play here?
I believe Tom is on the play.
Okay.
Which is huge.
All right, I will throw up the poll this time. Let's get that going. Let's see. So we have, who will win match 2? Will it be Brian Durkin or will it be Tom Metelsky? All right, folks, you got 2 minutes to wager your points and predict the winner. All right, now we're down to the match. We have a turn 1 swamp, the Psychatog deck. So I guess Brian now knows, should know what he's playing against just from this. I guess it was going to be telling either way. Goblins and Psychatog are pretty drastically different mana bases, so.
I don't think he's on red-black goblins.
Yes. And Brian leads off with a Jackal Pup. So good start from the deck. But there is a Vendetta ready, so Vendetta takes out the little pup at the cost of 1 life. So that's, I mean, a good exchange. I guess Ball Lightning is maybe the dream, but I think you're not unhappy to take down a Jackal Pup. Your Vendetta. Okay, so Brian is going to be fetching. He's going to get another mountain. His 2 drops. He just... I guess there's not really like any like 2 drops in the Sligh deck in terms of like threats. I mean, I guess Incinerate is like a 2 drop, but most of the cards are 1 and 3s. So we have a Grim Lavamancer. Will this resolve?
I wonder if he just already has another land in his hand and he wants to get it, get more mountains out of his deck. You only really need like the 3 lands. I mean, 4 is the dream if you have more than 1 Fire Blast, but the deck fires pretty well with 3 mountains. Yeah, looks like he's gonna counter it.
Yep, Mana Leak does answer the Grim Lavamancer, so Tom doing a good job of at least responding to the recurring damage threats that Brian has presented, so keeping his life total high. Like one thing that opens up is obviously it helps you like stay alive literally, but it could be a spot where if you're able to maybe kind of put your shields down in a later turn if you're not in within burn range, either to cast like a Psychatog or cast like a Factor Fiction to beef it up, that you're not afraid of just dying to resolve burn spells. So we do have a shock. This is just targeted at not targeted at the Psychatog as it does in the art. So
Another fetch land here.
is ball lightning action coming in.
Could be.
Could be Sulfuric Vortex. So I think if Tom, like, how many turns? I guess if you have a card like Factor Fiction or there is a Sulfuric Vortex, that actually, I mean, like, Brian taking damage actually could be pretty relevant here, like with this Tog
Yeah.
already in play. It makes,
Absolutely.
like, if we just talk about like 2 turns, like 4 damage, 4 less damage that the Psychatog has to deal is often like a turn or two. Like it's really easy to get to the Psychatog up to like 12 in most times, and then like sometimes dealing like 18 is a lot. But I think the Sulfuric Vortex might actually hurt Brian in this position.
$15 all.
How many cards does Brian have? And is there ever a spot that you start using your resources to try and kill the Psychatog? I mean, obviously the first burn spell is not going to kill it, but if you do make Tom commit resources in terms of discarding cards or exiling cards from the graveyard, if you're doing it on your turn, then that's going to save you life.
Yeah.
So looks like he's another fetch land, which I guess in this spot is not great because every little life point matters against that Psychatog. So loses a now here we have a ball lightning. So if this resolves,
Tom
then
immediately moves the die and picks his hand up.
yeah, like if this connects, then I think the game is very different. But yeah, Circular Logic is able to answer that he's got to counter it unless he pays like 3 or 4. And then there is an end of turn accumulated knowledge, and so the wheels are kind of starting to spin for Tom, and I think things look pretty good here.
Mhm.
Like if he just has a card like Gush, is Factor Fiction just enough to, like, you only need to deal 12, right? I feel like if you had Factor Fiction or Gush, you'd be able to do that. All right, shock is pointed at Tom's head.
Interesting.
They're both at 11.
And Brian's only got 2 cards.
Well, I mean, like Tom didn't. So if Tom had Factor Fiction that turn, that would have been a Polluted Delta in the graveyard, and then plus 3 cards in hand and a Factor Fiction and 2 other cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. 8 cards would be in his graveyard, and then he'd have 2 plus 3, 5. So it'd be 5 and then 13. It'd be plus 11. Yeah, I think Factor Fiction would have been lethal if I'm doing my math correct. we have a raid from the Legacy Pit.
Oh, sweet.
So welcome, Legacy Pitters. Thanks for the raid. If you're not familiar with our program, we are doing the Premodern Showdown series. So right now we are in our last match of the regular season, we'll call it. So these players are fighting for their chance to get into the semifinals. So yeah, so here we have the Fact or Fiction. Like, did I do my math wrong? Was that not lethal last turn? Because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards in the graveyard right now. There's going to be, if you split the pile 3-2, you take the
6
bigger
damage.
pile. Then there's 3 more cards that go in the graveyard, 2 from the Fact or Fiction and the literal Fact or Fiction, so 3 cards. So then there'd be 8 cards in the graveyard, and there'd be 5 cards in your hand. So that would have been 5, and then there'd be 13 total cards in the graveyard. So that's 6 activations, so it's 5 plus 6. So that would have been 11 damage. So I'm not sure why this Fact or Fiction wasn't cast earlier, but I guess if it was lethal then, it should be lethal now. So I guess double Fire Blast could complicate things, but well, not even, because I guess
No,
if
not enough.
no, because
You'd have to aim it at the Tog.
yep.
Oh, wow. It's going to face. I mean, Brian's just dead here, right?
If I did my math correctly, then yes. All right, we got accumulated knowledge for 2. I mean, this is just like icing on the cake, I think. So there's only 1 card in Brian's hand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, then I don't think there's anything that Tom needs to fear. 4 damage is the most that he can deal.
Yeah, he's done.
I mean, if it were a Cyborg game, then things are a lot different because a card like Pyroblast could come into play, but that's not the case. So Psychatog
All right.
hits large and finishes off Brian for game 1. So I feel like that was the game that Brian is more likely to win. I feel like the pre-boarded games are a little tougher for the Psychatog deck. So Tom probably feels pretty good that he was able to take down that game. So let's bring up the decks and we can maybe make a prediction on what's going to happen with sideboarding. So the Sligh deck, a card like Torment's Crypt definitely could come in. I mean, just like I said, a lot of times I don't like the cards that don't deal damage out of the burn deck, but really reducing the effectiveness of Psychatog. Like, that game could have been way different if there was a Tormod's Crypt in the mix there. So I expect the Crypt to come in. The 2 Pyroblasts and the 2 red Elemental Blast I would expect to come in. And I don't think Price of Progress has enough targets. I think it's just like a Cephalid Coliseum or 2. And then maybe, I don't know if there's Underground Rivers. Yeah, there's a couple of Underground Rivers or something. So I don't think that one's effective or efficient enough. What cards do you want to take out? Like, are you interested in casting Flame Rift against the Psychatog deck? Because we did talk about like dealing damage to yourself can be problematic, but it is a pretty efficient burn spell, and like most of the time, there's not like a board presence from the Tog deck.
Yeah, I mean, being on the play, I like it more in the deck.
I might take out just the Mog Fanatics. Or maybe Mog Fanatics better than Shock. I don't know.
What about the Sulfuric Vortexes?
You just think they're too slow, or I mean, or do you think the idea of like dealing yourself too much damage is a problem? Because I mean, like maybe you're just taking out all the Flame Rifts and the Sulfuric Vortexes on the front, but I don't know. I feel like when you're on the play, like those seem a lot better on the play. I don't know. I'll jump over to Tom's deck and we'll look a little bit of what's coming in. A null, I mean, I guess, so the cards that it would have a target, I mean, potentially Tormod's Crypt, Curse Scroll, Sulfuric Vortex, that doesn't seem like enough. I don't think I want a null against the red deck. It's just a little bit too situational. I could see a card like Diabolic Edict coming in, because, like, if you get in the right spot, it's like, if you get a snipe a ball lightning, it's really good. And I mean, you're not unhappy taking out a Grim Lavamancer or like a Jackal Pup, though it is a little bit slow. I mean, the 3 Hydroplasts are definitely coming in. I could see Snap coming in. Even I could see Engineered Plague like naming Elemental or maybe naming Human or whatever. Uh, it's not an efficient answer, but it is something that you could do. I guess it depends on like what cards you think are too clunky. Like, do you like Duress against the red deck from the Psychatog?
Yeah, I think I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think he wants to just bring in his 3 blasts and his Diabolic Edict here.
All right. So then I might just cut Recoil. I don't know. Maybe you shave Portents or something. I'm not sure. I guess the Wonder still is somewhat relevant, but maybe you cut that. I don't know. All
Maybe you
right.
cut
Well,
one or
Tom's
2
got
dresses.
some choices to make. What was the thing you were saying?
So maybe you cut 1 or 2 dresses. Maybe it's like one or 2 dresses, 1 portent, something along those lines.
All right. I'll bring up our slides for getting to know our players as our players are finishing sideboarding. But we have Brian, and he lists his biggest pre-modern rival is Airstream Go. He said he beat me in the top 8 and top 4 of the pre-modern monthly. So, yeah, that's always frustrating when you have like that end boss that always takes you down. I know Flint was that person for a lot of people for a long time. So maybe Flint doesn't recognize that as much as other people since he was the end boss. But
Oh gosh.
he also predicted that John would win the Showdown series, so he's in the majority with a lot of the other people. He said the strongest color in Premodern is green. I think it was someone had asked in the chat if anyone had thought green was the strongest Premodern color. Yes, someone had, and Brian, but he did not complete the answer to what is the weakest color in Premodern. So I don't know if he couldn't decide or if he was like thinking about it and then just forgot to answer it, but I don't know. It looks like he's saying black right now because that's what my slide says. So he says his favorite sport is basketball, and then his favorite vacation location is Palm Springs, California. How close is that to where you're at?
Pretty far.
Okay,
Yeah.
I have no idea like where
down-
Palm
it's
Springs
down-
is.
Kind of inland from LA, just past LA, and we're up
Okay.
in the Bay, so it's pretty far.
I'm sure it's nice, and I'm sure the weather is better than where I'm at. So I'm just getting to the point of the season where like my hands are just dry all the time, and it's not a fun feeling. maybe not something that you guys had to deal with in the warmer climates, but in the cold winter air, it just dries out my skin. So
I did my time in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I know how it is.
you make it sound like it's a prison sentence.
I loved it. Didn't love how long the winters were, but I didn't mind the cold weather itself.
Yeah. All right, so who do you like for this game? Sly's on the play. I mean,
I think Sly's gonna take down game 2, and then game 3 with Tom on the play. I think his chances are pretty good, but I'd say it's still probably about 50-50.
all right. So I guess also like maybe it depends if there are any mulligans that could really hurt either of the players. Because I think every little card does count for kind of both the players. If they do kind of come out full guns blazing, then the tempo of the draws is really important.
All right. Should I let them know to start whenever?
Yep.
Did we
Yeah.
do slides for Tom?
Oh, did I not? Oh, I guess I forgot. I'll do that real quick. I got so excited.
Ooh, more matches, more games.
Tom says his biggest pre-modern rival is Adam Rice. He says, I think we were 1-1 in games when we both top decked wins. He also predicted that John would win the PSS. Says the strongest color in pre-modern is blue, and the weakest color is white.
Ooh.
Okay. His favorite sport is football. I know he is a big Buffalo Bills fan. And his favorite vacation location is the beach. So I don't know if that's a specific beach or just any beach at all, but I can get on board with that. I like a good beach, especially with a drink in my hand. So
Sounds nice. Maybe it's the beach from the movie The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio way back in the day.
That I think isn't that like actually one from like Indonesia or something? I think so. It's like very scenic, right? I think what happened is all the people wanted to go to that beach after that movie came out, and it like got overrun by by tourists,
By
and
terrorists.
and uh, and they kind of like I think they have to limit the amount of people that go there now.
Uh,
All right, I think Brian is shipping back his hand.
Yep.
So did not
Number
like
5.
his opening 7. Let me check the poll. I want to see what people were thinking.
What were you thinking?
Looks like we have about 80% predicted that Tom would win. All right. I guess that surprised me a little bit. I don't know. I feel like sometimes Sligh comes out quick and Psychatog doesn't always have all the things line up to answer everything. So
Yeah, agreed. I'll have to ask Tom how many times he's played this match. Because Brian's on a much more traditional Sligh list too.
mhm. All right, Brian's looking for his 6-card mulligan to see if he can stay alive with Sligh. Oh, it was Thailand.
Alright.
Okay.
Oh no, is he shuffling again? He's going to 4?
Is he? Oh, did I miss a bunch of mulligans? You think he's
Yeah,
going down to
they
4 cards?
messaged us and said he was going to 5, and then he just shipped that hand. So yeah,
Ooh.
he's going to 4. I mean, this might be a short game.
Yeah, I have to imagine that like when you are shipping back 5 or like a 5-card hand, that one probably just didn't have any lands or it was all lands.
Mhm.
I don't know.
It's
If it
all
were just
lands.
all lands, I might have to keep that rather than go to 4. So bit of unfortunate luck at a very very costly time for Brian.
Yeah. Well, he's definitely going to keep the 4, so we'll see how it works out.
I mean, it is nice that he at least gets to pick the 4, and it's not just where it has to be the first 4 cards off the top. So I mean, you could see like if you just have like land pup pup like or land pup pup bolt or something like that's something that might be able to go the distance. All right, cards are going to the bottom. Brian has
Here we go.
found a suitable hand. He's put
Possibly
all his cards on the table, all 4 of them.
all 4. This could possibly be our last game of our regular season.
Yes, Brian's hoping that's not the case, but he's got an uphill battle with just the 4 cards. All right. You gotta hope there's a pup here, right? There's a Grim Lavamancer. I guess
Lava Mancer.
that one's a little bit hard to get online when you only have 4 cards, though.
We may see just the beats for one here. Yeah.
Thank you for the follow, Zyphon. Welcome to the stream.
Welcome.
Mog Fanatic is now follow up. So there are the beaters, and this is a Hydroblast for a Mog Fanatic. All right, that's an aggressive counterspell out of Tom. So I don't know if that means his hand is strong and he just needs to get to the late game.
I mean, maybe he's just, yeah, being mana efficient here and he just wants to slow things down as much as possible.
I mean, it isn't the Grim Lavamancer scarier than the Mog Fanatic?
I would think so.
Did Tom like announce that he was smothering or Diabolic Edict? Okay, there's a Diabolic Edict. I was gonna say like that creature went to the graveyard before the spell got cast. All right. Well, at least Brian has had some of the recurring sources of damage, so that he's at least trying to chip away a little bit. Unfortunately for him, Tom had multiple of the creature removal portions of his hand because he doesn't have a ton of creature removal. Like there's a couple of Vendettas, a Smother, and a Direwalk Edict on the sideboard. I guess the Hydroblast also can do both duty of countering a spell or destroying a permanent, but he's just gonna try and whittle away Tom's life total with this Mug Fanatic. And there's a Vendetta drawn, so I have a question. Your Mog Fanatic is getting Vendetted. Do you let it resolve, or do you deal the damage?
I deal the damage.
Okay.
RW or RDW chip damage does not stack in this format, at least combat damage.
Yeah, we use the current Magic rules, so I guess if they ever change the rules to go back to that, we would. But yeah, we just would use whatever contemporary rules. So like mulligans and whatnot. It's just
London.
yeah.
So. It makes the format much more accessible for people who want to get into it. But it does make Mog Fanatic very, very sad.
If he still gets the job done, I mean, like in this situation, it wouldn't have changed anything. Like it had damage on the stack, he's still gonna die to a Vendetta. So, well, Brian's building up his hand. I mean, like I guess Tom's at 16, so it's not like he's anywhere close. But Tom has just been playing a lot of lands, and there hasn't been like a Fact or Fiction or a Psychatog. So,
I think we're about to see. Oh, okay.
Right.
Knowledge for 2. There's the duress.
It does resolve. There is a Fire Blast and a Red Elemental Blast. Would you?
I would Fire Blast.
I was to say, like, this seems like a okay spot. Like, if it gets countered, it was. I mean, you make Tom use a number of cards, but you have the lands in your hand.
Yeah.
I think I would have Fire Blast there.
It also puts him at threshold.
Sure. What's the best way that Brian like utilizes the mana from this point? It's just like Curse Scroll, right? But yeah, I guess the only like other slight advantage is that he can play around Mana Leak a little bit better, but and Circular, you can't really. It's pretty hard to play around Circular Logic right now. There's quite a few cards in the graveyard. All right, we see Activation of Cephalid Coliseum. This is one of the cards that I've really enjoyed in the Psychatog deck.
Yeah, it's good.
When he's important and is targeting Tom, I mean, I could see a situation where this could almost seem like a spot where you wouldn't mind portenting your opponent, but Tom's gonna dig, presumably for a Psychatog. I guess he also has to worry, like, Tom needs to have a for sure way to counter that Red Elemental Blast. He doesn't want his Tog dying, but I think it's likely he has a number of counter spells in his hand. Given has he had to counter any spell yet?
No. Oh, well, I guess he countered the Mog Fanatic, right?
Sure.
But that's it.
Yeah, the Hydroblast.
He just has so much time, right? I mean, he's sitting at 16 life. Brian doesn't have any pressure on the board.
Well, I mean, the one thing is like the time also helps Brian. I mean, like especially from his draw, like when he's just sitting with nothing in his hand. Like if there's a Psychatog in play, then this game is just nearly over. It feels like for that Brian won't have any option to get enough damage through because he's just going to die the Tog. But if there's no threat, then Brian at least has the opportunity to draw more cards and potentially get a chance. But I was gonna say it's a Fact or Fiction, but nope, it's a different format as well. A little bit less impressive.
Do you wanna counter that one, Brian?
Yeah.
He declines, shockingly.
Well, we got a clock in play. A not so timely Jackal Pup. Are you interested in countering this? I guess it would depend on like how many counter spells are in your hand. But this is not a very scary Jackal Pup.
No.
Alright, so Brian still has more land. This is in the form of wooded foothills. So this deck will get a little bit smaller, and we have a Hydroblast is answering the pup.
Yep.
So I feel like you want to save your Hydroblasts. Like they just seem like the cleanest answers to like a card like Fire Blast or whatnot. But so Brian's at 14 and Tom's still at 16. So yeah, this wonder is chipping away.
Mm-hmm. 6 cards in hand for Tom. Oof.
None of them are Psychatog, though. Well, maybe that's not true. Maybe he's afraid of getting his. I guess I still imagine that there's no Psychatog in his hand. Otherwise, I don't think you'd be using your Hydroblast. Like you could just use the Hydroblast to protect it, and you could block the Jackal Pup easy enough. All right, Tom goes down to 15. There is a Barbarian Ring, but there needs to be 13 other points of burn for Brian. And we have a Factor Fiction. Will there be a Psychatog in this pile?
Maybe.
If there is a Psychatog, will it be a 4-1 split?
Yeah.
That's a good accumulated knowledge, too. Do you 4-1 this accumulated knowledge?
I'd probably,
Because that one's 3 cards, right? There's 2 other ones in the graveyard, I think.
yeah, I probably would. Wow, it gives him the duress with the knowledge. Interesting.
Yeah, I'd definitely take that accumulated knowledge. So, I think this duress. I guess. I was gonna say it was gonna prompt Brian to use Red Elemental Blast, but maybe that's not true. Brian needs to figure out if he wants to try and defend his life total. Okay, he does. I mean, you don't really need to fight over this with Tom.
No, you just let it die.
I mean, it is nice to have a little bit of a clock, but you gotta hope that a Psychatog is coming soon. Alright, so Duress will prompt an Incinerate, and that will get countered. And I'm guessing there's going to be another burn spell.
Yeah.
Another Incinerate. That one will get mana leaked. So Duress will miss, but Brian doesn't have any cards in his hand. And Tom's still at 15. There's just a Mob Fanatic and a Barbarian Ring. But there's not a Psychatog in Tom's hand. I still have to assume. So the Smog Fanatics able to go through, and the life totals are tied.
Brian is just in such a rough spot here. Here comes the, oh, uh-oh.
The doctor is in.
He will see you next turn.
I think this Mog Fanatic will... Oh, he doesn't even get to block. There's a Wonder in the graveyard.
Yeah.
I think this will probably be the last turn for Brian.
Yeah.
I guess unless Torment's Crypt is able to sneak into play. I think he's just dead. I have to imagine that's enough cards. There's going to be 3 more. Yeah, this is just... I guess so if you had 2 Fire Blasts, and they... Okay. I'm guessing this is a Pyroblast targeting the Psychatog.
I would hope so.
As a counterspell. Is there another blast?
Probably not.
There's little... We're waiting. I guess if it's a Fire Blast, and you have to think whether you target the Psychatog, but I think there's still plenty of food for it to survive a Fire Blast and kill on the next turn. It is a Fire Blast. But yep, that one's not enough.
GG's.
Yes, good games. Unfortunately for Brian, he had mulligan to 4 that last game and didn't apply enough pressure, and Psychatog takes it down. So congratulations to Tom. He is the 4th. Well, I shouldn't. He's at least the 4th place. He might be over Jared. I'm not exactly sure how their head-to-head is, but I'll jump down to the players and we can listen to them and hear what they have to say about the match.
Advantage as you multi-for also, but it was a little scary. The AK was nice, and then I kept 1 Factor Fiction in, and it worked out pretty well. Just I feel like hitting my land drops too was really important that game too.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, I just had both ends of the bad luck side of Magic. It's just hardcore mauling there, and then also flooding out.
Yeah,
no bueno.
What were the hands? Do you guys have us unmuted?
No, you are unmuted.
Okay.
Yes.
What were the hands that you had to send
yeah,
back in that second game?
Yeah, so the first hand was I'm trying to de-sideboard while I think, which is never a good idea. So let me stop that. So the first hand I felt was too slow. So it actually was lands and spells, but the problem was it was like, let's say like 3 mountains, like maybe one of them was a fetch or something. And then it was like 2 blasts, an incinerate, and like a ball lightning. And I'm like, my ball lightning is going to get countered. My incinerate doesn't do anything really until I'm like kind of ready to win the game. And like, I felt like the power plays I kind of just want to draw later, right?
Yep.
Like critical time. I don't want to start with them. So I threw that away. And then my 6 card hand was a lot of good spells, but the problem with that is minimal lands. So I had a Jackal Pup and a Curse Scroll and like 2 ball lightnings and maybe like 2 incinerates. I didn't have any 1 cost burn and then only 1 land. So then it was like, okay, like I'm on the play. If I don't hit like a land by turn 3, I'm probably still just dead. And I probably need to hit land to like keep pace if the Jackal Pup dies right away, which it should. Like there's decent amount of removal. And then the 5 card hand was just 7 spells, no lands. So that was the easiest decision of my night. But yeah, I don't know. The slide deck has just been really. I was telling Tom in the booth, I guess the slide deck has been really unkind to me. I feel like I'm getting really flooded, or even against Ben on zombies, I was like stuck on one land for like ages. Like I don't know what its deal is with me, but
Yeah.
it's kind of beef. That's for sure.
The red mana gods are they're not kind to you lately.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. So I don't know, maybe even with fetching, it's like even the first game against Tom, it's like I fetched like 3 times and I still drew like 5 or 6 lands. So that's magic. It just happens.
Yeah, that came at a very unfortunate time.
Yeah, well, it stinks because like it was cool that the schedule got like rearranged to be like maximum drama for potential people to make it, and then it really did come down to a win-in between us, and it's like literally the lamest final game of Magic ever because I basically couldn't play. But to Tom's credit, though, like I mean, Burns always scary if he doesn't know I'm flooding out, right?
Yeah.
So like I could be holding like triple fire blast and he could die like any second or something weird. So you can't just like be asleep at the wheel on his side of the table either. So I mean, he played super duper tight. But yeah, it was Tom's 3 decks were really good decks to register. I kind of had to ban Devour, and yeah, I mean, I thought I had an okay chance against Psychatog. I was happy that there was only Blast instead of Chill, but at the end of the day, you probably shouldn't register a Psychatog deck if you don't have an answer to like aggressive strategies or burns. So it wasn't. I didn't expect it to be like easy, even if I'm favored. I don't even know if I am. So I figured it was going to be tough tonight, regardless of what Tom decided to play.
Tom, how comfortable are you with the Sligh matchup with Psychatog with your list? Do you think it's?
I was nervous.
Okay.
It's like one of Psychatog's worst matchups, but yeah, the first hand keep I only kept it because I had the Vendetta. So I was like, if I slow down a creature here, that can buy me a lot of time because the pup, I mean, can typically deal between 4 and 6 damage. So
yeah,
like,
you're pretty low on amount of spot removal spells you have in the main, and yeah, if that connects a few times, then the burn spells get a lot scarier. So yeah, it was very timely that you had it right away.
Yeah, it was risky because my hand really wasn't good. It shaped out being a lot better, but like I was hoping it was like, okay, he's either on Elves or Sligh, so like this is hopefully going to do some work here. Not that I would hit the mana dork though, like I hit more like a more important elf, but when I saw the mountain, I was like, okay, this is going to work out pretty good. But I think that just like I think the Vendetta like won the game. Honestly, I know a lot of things go into it, but that was like extremely beneficial.
Yeah, and it was a die roll diff too, right? Because it's like
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah, if you want to play.
Because you also get to mana leak my second creature, which is like that was massive. Then I was like basically gas. So yeah, that was pretty nasty. Those are the ones who punched.
Yeah, game 2 unfortunately wasn't like a game. Like we kind of just talked through that. But I do feel like he was still in it. Like it was. I mean, once I got so much farther ahead on card advantage, it was like kind of over. But I would say like between like turns 2 and 5, it was still rather like it was closer than I expected. I was still really nervous. Like I didn't want to like tap out or like launch out my AK, so I was like holding it forever just so I can keep up counter spell.
Sure.
And I was holding a lot of land too. Like I kept drawing lands, but the one factor fiction I kept in, it seemed like it worked out perfectly.
Yeah, it was really good. I don't know. What did you all say in the booth? Would you have split either fact or fiction differently than the way I decided to split it? And
I think I would have 4-1 the accumulated knowledge in the later one. But I guess you got duressed pretty early in game 2, and your hand was Fire Blast, Red Elemental Blast, and you had. Is there a reason you didn't try and cast the Fire Blast there?
I should have. And in hindsight, I was like, yeah, I probably should have just Fire Blast and let him take the Red Elemental Blast, but I was feeling a bit defeatist, so I was just like, sure, whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think once he knows I have, it's kind of interesting because like it probably objectively is correct to just fire it off, right? But I don't really have anything else going on, and burn per cardboard, Fire Blast like one of your best spells. So I probably should have just done it. However, since I didn't do it, it did make the dynamic of the game kind of interesting because like he knows I have a hard counter spell for Psychatog. So like it kind of creates this. I know if he goes to cast Psychatog or even like Wonder, he's holding at least one, if not two counter spells. Like it can help me do some math on like when do I go all in on like a hand of a bunch of burn. Yeah, I mean, I probably should have just killed the Wonder a lot earlier with the blast. Now that I'm talking out loud, because it's like he's never gonna let me actually blast something I want, so I might as well not take this much damage. But I didn't have any creatures to attack with, so it doesn't really matter. So
Yeah,
but
I think
you're
it's
right.
I think it's
Right.
reasonable not to kill the Wonder. Like it's like he just needs to draw Psychatog, and it's pretty much going to kill you at that point, regardless of what your life total is. He had like 100 cards in his graveyard, or was working towards it. So
Yeah. He could have been hellbent when he played that AK, and I was dead. That's why I just scooped him. Like, there's no point in bluffing anything. Yeah. But no, it was fun. I mean, I'm glad it was. I know Tom's is a huge fan of Psychatog, so it's cool to like win the winning in with that, and it was kind of nice to play. I like playing with the Onslaught shocks. So for anyone who doesn't know,
we thought it was pretty fitting. Like it's so funny that the art is like it's shocking at Psychatog, which is like in almost like every situation, just it's never going to work out for the red mage. So yeah,
basically never. Yeah.
Yes.
So that was cute. That was fun though.
Yeah.
We were joking about that a little bit during the match.
All right.
Cool.
I don't think we had any questions in the chat. They're just talking about maybe you need to do some sacrifices like every blood moon, so that you can get better with the red mana gods. So
I know. I don't know what my issue is, but yeah, maybe the red gods are just angry with me because I guess all my pre-modern success and other Magic credits are not with mountains. Actually, exclusively without mountains. Like
that's what I think. I think you said that you liked red decks and whatnot, and I'm like, I didn't know that because like the times I've seen you be playing like Allurin and Reanimator and Stasis or whatever, and none of those seem very red. So
yeah, but I grew. I mean, I don't know. I learned how to play Magic in like the 4th grade when Alliances came out, and I was just like trying to ball lightning and Orcish Lumberjack people left and right. So red's always had a special place in my heart, but apparently I've been neglecting red for too long because it has been not nice to me in this event at all. So yeah, the chat is right. I got to figure out how to pay my dues and get in the good graces again.
Well, Brian, this is of course your exit, so I want to thank you for playing. It's been awesome seeing you on camera, chatting with you about the games. Seeing you chat in the group messenger that we have going on, and just thanks for taking the time to play in the series.
Yeah, it was an honor to be invited. Like I know the theme of this was like, let's get some serious spikes that know how to play. So yes, as I bow out, I do feel like, and one of the actors is like, it was just great to be at the awards and be nominated. And it's true. Like everybody here is really good. Like all the matches were super sweaty, and yeah, best of all, everyone's an awesome, nice person to hang out with. Like, agreed. It was cool to do all the group chatting and stuff. And yeah, it's one of the hallmarks of pre-modern, right? It's like we all care about doing well. We're all like good guys, not trying to scum or anything. It's a nice, casual, competitive vibe. So it was a pleasure. I would happily do it again. So thanks for having me.
Yep. Thanks. All right. Congratulations, Tom. We will get to see you in a couple of weeks in the semifinals. We'll have to figure out what your seeding actually is, because I don't know what your head-to-head. Did you beat Jared, or did you lose to him?
Jared beat Tom.
Okay. So then I think you end up in fourth.
Yep.
Still, I mean, that's not. I guess that just means you played James. I think is what it'll be. So.
Yep. You'll play James.
Yep. So looking forward to seeing that. But yeah, we are taking a week off for the Thanksgiving holiday, and then we'll be back on November 30th to start our semifinals, and then later the week will be the finals. So. We'll have a conclusion to our Premodern Showdown Series 3 coming up, and yeah, it's been a pretty wild ride. The last two nights that we've had have been really exciting matches, so it was really cool for all the tension to come down on this match. So, all right, well, we'll let the players go, and then Flint and I are gonna wrap things up. So, thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys. Good playing, Brian.
Good luck, Tom.
Night.
All right, so I'll briefly bring up the standings. We did just talk about this a little bit, but so our top 4 is James should be in first place with 6-1 record. Then John has won tonight, so he bumps up to 5-2, and that's good for second place. And then Jared with a 4-3 record, and then Tom also with a 4-3, but loses the tiebreaker to Jared, and so that is our top 4: is James, John, Jared, and Tom. So it'll be fun to see how that plays out in our semifinals and finals in a couple weeks. I guess this is pretty much what I was just saying, but yeah, on Tuesday the 30th, we'll be back to our schedule, and we will start off with our semifinals. And so the semifinals is going to be a best of 5. So I guess the timing, we might adjust our schedule, and we might start a little bit earlier to allow for the potentially long matches. So the players will do the same ban process, but they'll bring one deck, and they're going to play a best of 5 to determine who moves on to the finals. So we can get some interesting sideboarding games. Like, I know when you play a best of 5, like things like really flesh out, and there are some leveling games, and so it's always interesting to see if those flourish or come up. So I'm looking forward to it. Anything that you want to add, Flint, before we sign off for the night?
I'm looking forward to it as well. Just thanks again to our viewers. Thank you to the Legacy Pit for the raid. If you're new to Premodern, I know we had some first timers in chat tonight, and you're not playing in the monthlies, check out the Premodern online Facebook group. Come join us. Come play in the monthlies. Come to Boston in May and play in the Premodern Championships.
Yep. Yeah, I'm excited. Looking forward to getting out there and slinging some paper pre-modern. So
Absolutely.
all right. With that, yeah, just thanks everyone who's able to tune in, and thanks everyone who supports on YouTube and whatnot, or the Twitch replays or whatnot. Thanks for helping grow the pre-modern community. And until next time, take care.
And everybody.